Okay, so back to our picture of Venice. So far we've added 2 adjustment layers to our background copy, and we've added a hue saturation layer and a levels layer. So the hue saturation brought up the colors so that it was brighter, because we made it more saturated. And the levels brought out the highlights and shadows, okay, so it added some contrast to it. Now, something that's bothering me about this picture is how boring the sky is. So I had another picture of Buckingham Palace where it had a very boring sky, and I decided to just adjust the sky to make it more appealing looking. So here we've got some seriously dark parts and some seriously light parts, and it just looks way more dramatic and more interesting. So we're going to do the same type of thing to our picture that started off looking like this. So if we go back into Photoshop, I'm going to get you guys to select the Magic Wand tool. So the Magic Wand tool is going to be your best friend and your enemy, because it is very picky, but it can be very useful. So the Magic Wand tool is a selection tool. So, for example, if I wanted to select a part of the sky, I would click on it, and this part of the sky is selected. What does that mean? Well, if I were to copy it and paste it, I would be able to drag around that part of sky. One thing you have to make sure you do is be on the right layer. And I'm going to go Edit, Copy. I used the keyboard shortcuts before. And deselect, and Edit, Paste. So as you can see, here we've got the piece of sky that was just selected. Okay, it didn't work the first time I tried to do it because I was on my levels layer, and you do not copy adjustment layers that way, but you can copy normal layers. These are adjustment layers, you can tell. A, because we've been adding them from up here, and B, because of these links. It means that it's linked to everything that's underneath it. So everything underneath these layers is being adjusted. Okay? So I don't really want this patch of sky, so we're just going to drag it down to the garbage. Alright, so now let's get back to trying to adjust our sky using the Magic Wand. So the Magic Wand, up here is where you can decide how picky it is with what it selects. So for example, if I put it down to 10 and then clicked in here, it selects that much. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect it. If I bumped up the tolerance to 50 and clicked in the same spot, it selected all of this. It's getting into my pictures, it's selecting all, or into my buildings, it selected all of the sky because it was less picky about how close the color and the tone was for what it was choosing. It had a higher tolerance, so anything that was, relatively close got selected. So we're going to hit Control D again, because tolerance 50 is just selecting too much. I just want the sky. So we're going to get down to, I don't know, let's try 25. And click in there again. And this is looking better. Now, right now, I need all the sky. So if I wanted to add more, you would think that I could just, click in this part. Oh, but now it's selected this area. And this part that was selected before is no longer a part of it. That is because this option for the selection tool up here is selected. So every time you use your magic wand and click somewhere different, it's going to make a new selection. Your old one is just going to be scrapped, and it's going to make a new one based on your tolerance. If I wanted to add to it, I would click on this part where it looks like the square in front is kind of adding to the one from behind. This is your Add to Selection tool. And it works with your other selection tools like your lasso and your shape, the ones that select things in shapes. So now if I use this and click on this area, see how it added to it? So now this whole thing is encompassed in our little blinking lines. And it's getting a little weird down here by the chimneys, so if I wanted to be really intense about it, I could zoom in and specifically select the different areas. But for this purpose, I think this is going to be good enough, just for the tutorial. One thing that I was noticing over here, though, is that we're getting into my roof. So if I want to just get rid of that little piece, I could use my magic wand tool, but it's probably easier for me to just draw around it. Now I've chosen the lasso tool, so this lets you hand draw a selection. And what I want to do, this is all selected, my sky is all selected, and also this little piece of my building is getting selected. So instead of adding to it or making a new selection, which is what's selected now, I want to subtract from the selection. So when I have subtract from selection chosen, I can just draw a little circle around that. It doesn't need to be exact, and voila, gone. We've also got a little bit going on here. I'm using my mouse, not my mouse, I'm using like my scroll pad right now, so my skills are not the best. But we can just do it that way and draw around the areas that we want to get out of that selection. Now another thing you can do with selections, so everything along the blinking line here is your edge. If I wanted to refine that edge, make it better, make it softer, make it smoother, whatever, I'll drag this to the side so you can kind of see what's happening. I can make it smoother. I can feather it. I can shift it if you needed to like move it over. We're just going to not worry about shifting. But smooth and feather are probably the ones that would be most useful to you. So I'm going to smooth it a little bit. And with feather, try not to go over like 1.3, otherwise things start getting very obvious and weird. Like unless you're making like a shadow vignette around your picture or something, where the edges are like darker and shadowy. That's what a big feather number is good for. So we're just going to smooth it out a little bit, feather it a tiny bit, and so now our edge is refined. And now I'm going to zoom out with Control minus so that I can see my whole sky. And we're going to mess with the levels some more. So again, I'm going to hit this levels, and add a new levels layer, and it looks significantly different than our last one, but it's doing the same type of thing, because this is the levels just for the sky. Notice how I crank up my whites, it's not affecting the buildings, it's just affecting the sky. Again, same thing with the black. We have no blacks, nothing down here in the realm of black, so we're going to start adding some depth using our black slider. So see how much more dramatic our sky is getting automatically? And our outlines are not too bad because we managed to smooth and feather them. Sometimes when you do this, you get really like bright, obvious outlines around where the division is of what is getting adjusted and what's not. But this is looking pretty good because we managed to adjust them well. So I'm good with this. I'm happy with that. So now we have 3 adjustment layers. I'll show you what a difference that made to the sky. Boom. Much better, much more intense. So that is how you can selectively edit just a part of your picture. By selecting it, using a variety of your selection tools, magic wand, lasso tool that'll draw around things, and keep in mind these things. Adding to selection and subtracting from selection are going to be your best friends. If you have a specific shape, like if there's just a rectangle that you wanted to get, or if I wanted to just get part of the sky that way, then you can just draw a selection like that. But in photographs, that's not very common. And again, to deselect everything, to just get rid of this blinky square, I hit Control D. Alright, so this, compared to our original, looks like that. I think we've done a pretty good job of editing using Photoshop. So now, it is your turn.